everyone. Welcome to the second session on all things heat transfer vinyl from start to finish. I am going to give us a few moments to give everybody some time to get logged into Zoom. And while I do that, I'm just going to answer a few questions that came in before the start of the class. So I did see that some folks are confused about tomorrow. So yes, we are allotting tomorrow as part of the virtual event. We are keeping the platform open and we are going to be available for one-on-one meetings for tomorrow. So that is what we are using tomorrow for, just to wrap up any final buying decisions that you guys may have. Maybe you need to ask some more specifics or maybe see a piece of equipment one-on-one with a rep or one of the experts that was presenting throughout the duration of the event. So definitely take advantage of tomorrow. Schedule some meeting times with anyone that is listed there, and we can have some more one-on-one in-depth conversations for you guys, answer specific questions that you may have, and then even demo some more if you want to see some specific things. All right. So with that being said, we can go ahead and dive in. Hopefully everybody is logged into Zoom. And as I mentioned, this is the heat transfer vinyl start to finish. We're going to run through the basics of heat transfer vinyl, what it is, what it looks like, how you can get it, and then running through how you can vinyl cut it, weed it, and then also heat apply. Now, if you do not have a vinyl cutter yet, no worries. I still think that this class is going to be beneficial to you to understand what heat transfer vinyl is, especially if you just watched Ryan Rafalke's presentation on screen print transfers and why heat transfer vinyl differs. If you do not have a vinyl cutter, you can still order heat transfer vinyl from us. So this class is going to really walk you through what heat transfer vinyl is and what solutions it provides. All right, so heat transfer vinyl comes in a few different forms. You can get it on a roll, and these rolls typically range anywhere from as small as 12 inches in width to as large as 20 inches in width. And depending on what vinyl cutter you have, that's typically what is a good indicator on what size roll that you want to purchase. You also, there are some materials out there that are available in sheets. And sheets are, essential if you're working with a cutting mat, or maybe if you just want to sample some product, see how it works, and then buy more later. So this is a roll of fashion film electric. It's one of our special effect materials. And I'm going to peel it back from the carrier here so that you guys can see exactly what this looks like, okay? So the heat transfer vinyl is laminated to a clear carrier, okay? So this is the clear carrier that you're seeing there. This is typically, if you are ordering transfers with us already, what your transfer comes on. Okay, so the vinyl is laminated to this carrier so that you can feed it into a vinyl cutter and cut through the vinyl, and the carrier is going to keep everything in place for you. That is why there is a weeding process. Then you have the vinyl, and then you have the adhesive, which is ultimately going to transfer your heat transfer vinyl to your t-shirt. Right, so there are some key things that you want to take into consideration when you are working with heat transfer vinyl. And we're going to walk through all of those steps throughout the duration of this session so that you guys can fully understand and grasp how easy it is to work with heat transfer vinyl. But first, I wanted to start with just explaining how you can source it. Heat transfer vinyl on a roll, on a sheet, and it ranges in widths, and you can get as many yards as you want, anything from 5 to 25 yards, depending on how much you want to keep in inventory. What a lot of folks will do if they are doing a lot of vinyl cutting and creating their own transfers in-house is they will buy larger rolls, anywhere from 10 yards to 25 yards, and keep the most common colors that they use available to them. All right, so your black, white, if there is local businesses and schools and you know what colors they use, keep those in bulk, and then you can order your 5 or smaller yardage rolls for other colors that you want to try out. All right. So that's just one of those tips for, you know, what sizes to buy if you're just getting started. So before we get into the cutting process, I just want you guys to know, keep asking your questions. I will stop along the way and make sure that we are getting questions answered. I also have Danielle here with me on the back end, making sure to answer your questions throughout the chat as well. All right, so let's go ahead and start with cutting. So anytime you work with heat transfer vinyl, you want to create your own heat transfers in-house, the first thing you're going to need is a vinyl cutter. All right, so Kelly Walters did a really great presentation last night on getting started with a vinyl cutter, what that process looks like, and some different vinyl cutters that you should take into consideration. If you didn't get a chance to watch that class, it was recorded, so you can hop back and watch that later to kind of understand and really grasp what a vinyl cutter is and what types are out there. I am working with a Cricut. What is this? This is the Air Explorer, the Cricut Explorer Air 2. And it works with a cutting mat. It has a servo motor, and it's very similar to the cutter that Kelly showed called the Silhouette Cameo. So yes, you do need sheets with this. There are some cutters out there that actually offer a roll that you can, or a roll feeder, I guess I should say, that will actually feed the roll of material in, but ultimately you can, you know, you have your standard 12-inch widths to work with, and you can go up to as much as 24 in length, okay? Now I'm just working with a 12 by 12 cutting mat. So I went ahead and I just trimmed up a piece of CAD cut Ultraweed and got it sized to fit on my cutting mat, knowing what artwork that I was going to cut to make sure it was going to fit the sheet that I cut up off of my roll. All right, so this is Ultraweed, and I'm gonna actually remove this from the cutting mat because I want to show you how you're actually going to place this. So there is a shiny side of every heat transfer vinyl because that is where the clear carrier is. So earlier when I showed you the clear carrier that the vinyl is laminated to, that side is going to go face down and you are going to cut adhesive side up, right? So the dollar side of your heat transfer vinyl, as opposed to the shiny side, is going to be faced up. All right, so whenever you place this down, you want to make sure adhesive side is up. So I'm just going to place that on my cutting mat. And the cutting mat does have a sticky surface to it so that this will stay in place as it's being fed through the vinyl cutter. Okay, now anytime you are sending a design to cut, you want to make sure that you are sending it in a mirror image, okay? So that is the standard for any solid color heat transfer vinyl. So for those of you that may already be cutting vinyl, signed vinyl, decal vinyl, you know that you do not have to mirror your image. But anytime you work with a solid color of heat transfer vinyl, you do want to make sure that that is being cut in a reverse image because you are going to weed away that excess material and then that adhesive is going to transfer over to the shirt. All right, so I have my design brought up in Cricut Design Space here. All right, so it's already set to go. The artwork that I'm going to be using for this process is actually the same artwork that is in the Stahls marketing kit. It's the Think Out of the Box design. And if you guys want to learn how this artwork was created, because we don't have enough time to dive into all of that just in this session, Sarah is going to be showing you how to create this exact design that we're heat applying today and cutting and weeding in her session later on the vinyl designer. So if you want to see how this design is done, make sure you check out her class and how you can easily recreate these looks in the vinyl designer. All right, so everything's good to go. It's all set up. I'm Bluetooth connected here, so I don't have to worry about plugging anything in. All I have to do is hit the go button. Now with the Cricut, there are, and this is why I love working with the Cricut, because it is very user friendly. It has a little dial here that has preset cutting specs. Okay, so it's telling the blade how deep it needs to cut based off of the material that's loaded in there. So anytime I'm working with the Cricut and I'm a smooth, flat heat transfer vinyl, then I am going to cut that on just iron on. Right, so I turn the dial to iron on. And one thing that's really nice about Cricut Design Space, before I send my design, it has a little checklist for me that ensures that I am cutting it on the right material setting. And then it gives me an option to speed up the cutting process. So there is a fast mode on here. I do have that turned on. And then I just need to make sure that my mirror is on, and it says that it is. So now I can just hit that go button, and my vinyl gutter is going to cut out my design. All right, so just a few things to review, because I am throwing a lot of information out there right now. So anytime you are working with heat transfer vinyl and you are cutting it, you want to put it shiny side down and adhesive side up. Before you send your design to cut, you want to make sure that you are doing your check on dimensions. You want to make sure that the artwork is going to fit on the roll or the size of material that was put into the vinyl cutter. And another really best practice to do is a test cut. All right, so there's common wear and tear with a blade. And Kelly did a great job in reviewing this. So again, if you are new to vinyl cutting, definitely check out that class where she reviews the blade. But you always want to make sure that the blade is going to be cutting accurately based on the material that you have loaded in. Yes, this vinyl cutter does come with presets, and I've already done a test cut prior to this class. So I know that it's cutting fine at the iron-on setting, but I have had my blade for a while, so it is starting to get a little dull. So that test cut is allowing me to see that even though I have a little bit of dullness to that blade, that it's still going to cut just fine. And if it doesn't, I can increase my force. So I'm able to go in and actually change the presets in Cricut Design Space to show that my blade can increase in force to cut a specific material. This will also help if you are cutting specialty materials such as glitters, reflectives, or even dimensional heat transfer vinyl such as soft foam. You're going to need a little bit more depth of that blade, so you can go in and change the force that way if the dials or the presets that you already have cued in are not cutting it accurately. But ultimately, to know that test cut is really going to come in handy so that you're not wasting a ton of material. And whenever you're vinyl cutting, it's really lucrative for you to be able to do that test cut and not have as much waste in material. All right, so I'm going to pause really quickly. We're still going to wait for this to cut out so that you guys can see the whole process. And then we're going to weed. But before we move on, I want to make sure that I'm answering any questions that are coming through. So Danielle, do we have any questions?
I think we're good right now.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think we're good. Thank you.
I just saw a comment come in from Sarah. She says, be careful when the blades are new. I have cut through the carrier sheet. I have accidentally done that as well.
I have done that as well. For sure.
All right. So it's a little hard to tell, but I can see my cut lines in the material. So what I'm going to do is remove this from my cutting mat. And I'm going to grab a weeding tool. So there are a variety of weeding tools out there. Some folks even prefer to use a dentist pick, but this is what it looks like. It has a little sharp point right at the end of it, and it has a curve as well for you to get in and pick out any small cavities or crevices of the design. In addition to that, you also can use tweezers, all right? So there are tweezers too. You want to make sure that you are getting something with a really sharp edge. Both of these items are on Stahls. So if you guys want a weeder or a tweezer, you can do that. And here's why I prefer Stahls weeder, and probably because it's what I started with, so I'm used to how it picks things out of the material. But I just want to compare real quick the one that comes with Cricut, right? It's a little bit thicker. It's not as sharp there. So I have a harder time actually picking material out, right? So this one's a little bit thicker, and this one has a much thinner edge and sharper point to it. That's why I love using this one. So Stahls, great job on the innovation of this. All right, so another quick tip, and I do want to make a great mention of the Make It magazine that is in the marketing kits. Take advantage of this. There's a ton of tips and tricks in here. And one that was in our last release of this was tips for weeding. So save time with these weeding hacks. And there's a bunch of weeding hacks in here that really help making the weeding process a lot easier, simpler for you, and ultimately save time. Okay. So weeding is just one of those like dreadful processes that nobody really likes. I don't do it a ton, so I find it therapeutic, but I would imagine if I was doing this day in and day out to produce transfers or orders for folks, that it would get a little bit cumbersome. All right, so always keep scissors on hand to trim material. So before I weed this, what I want to do is actually trim the excess material here. And I'm big on saving scraps. So I'm not going to throw this piece away, because who's to say I won't get a job for left chest logos where I could fit like 3 across this. Okay. So just keep that in mind. Save your scraps. Don't waste unnecessary material. Okay. So I'm trying to find the start of my design here. All right. It looks like it's there. All right. So you'll notice that I am using my bottom platen to weed. Reason for this is because I hit it with the heat press to heat up that bottom platen. And this works beautifully because if you can add some heat to your heat transfer vinyl as you're weeding it, it saves you a ton of time because the material peels away from that carrier a lot faster. Now, I will say that Ultraweed is one of those products that's easy, very easy to weed to begin with. But adding heat to it just really helps me save a lot of time because of that tacky carrier. It's just really releasing that a lot faster. But this is what the weeding process looks like. So now that our design is cut out, we're going to go in and weed away all of the excess. And some other best practices to consider is your design. All right. So because you have to go through the process of weeding all of this out, it can be time consuming. So your design is really going to help save time. If it's very intricate, the more time you're going to spend weeding away the excess material. Great Dane Graphics does a really great job of creating art that has open cavities, so you have less start and stop points. I use his art a lot for sourcing mascots, because mascots can be very intricate, but he designs them so that whenever you are weeding it, there are a lot of open cavities so that it's more like one pool, maybe an additional pick of the weeding tool to get the rest out. So just keep that in mind. Artwork is big on how much time you spend in the weeding process. All right, but if you need a go-to heat transfer vinyl that is extremely easy to weed, then I highly recommend Ultraweed. All right. So this is the design, again, that Sarah is going to be showing you how to create in Stahls Vinyl Designer this afternoon. So be sure to check this out. It's really simple. And then she's just going to walk you through the whole designer. That's where I design all of my graphics for classes at shows, Facebook Live, YouTube. It's really, really simple to work with. You can do some really cool stuff with it. So I'm really excited that she's going to show you that. And keep in mind as well that you can do a lot of different finishes. Okay, so that's another reason why people love heat transfer vinyl. They want to create their own transfers with it because they are able to do a lot of unique finishes with it. So we're going to be showing, how many we have there? 2 additional finishes. One is my favorite. It is adhesive and foil, so that you guys can see some really creative and fun things that you can do with this process. So I have my t-shirt loaded on. I'm going to do a preheat of that. And now I can place my design and heat apply. I'm going to cover with the cover sheet. And Ultraweed applies as low as 260. So another really great feature of the product for a go-to heat transfer vinyl is that if you're ever doing synthetic fabrics, anything very heat sensitive, you know that you can drop that temperature all the way down to 260. Now, if you're just doing cotton, you can do 280, 300. I have it at 300 right now, but just know that you can really drop the temp of Ultraweed so that you have a solution for those heat sensitive garments. It is a hot peel, which is another great feature of the product because it helps save time in the whole process. And it is extremely soft, right? So it doesn't feel like a typical heat transfer vinyl would where it feels a little bit heavy. It has a lot of breathability. Another really great best practice with heat transfer vinyl, because it isn't a print method where it sinks into the fibers of the shirt, it actually sits on top. Keep your designs light and breathable so that it feels good on the shirt, and limit how many colors that you want to do. Yes, you can layer Ultraweed. So if I wanted to layer 5 colors of this, I could. It'd be a little time consuming and it wouldn't feel the best on the shirt. All right. So all of that stacked up starts to get a little thick, but overall it is a really thin heat transfer vinyl, completely layerable, comes in a variety of colors as well. All right.
Hey Jenna, someone's asking.
Stop.
No, that's okay. What someone's asking what shirt that is.
Okay, this is from District. I don't know if it has the item number, but I do know it's from District. I think it's the Jersey tee, and it's sourced from Sanmar. Okay, here's the item number. Ready? It's DM476. All right, so that is our first application. Do we have any other questions before we move on to some other heat transfer vinyls that you're able to produce with a vinyl cutter and heat transfer vinyl?
Yes, Pam actually would like to know if you would be able to show a 2-3 color application.
I don't have it on me. We do have a ton of videos on Stahls TV YouTube, though, where we show how to layer, how you can do multiple colors in one design. So we'll be sure to share some links in the chat section of this right after the class. So stay tuned for that. Or I can, Danielle, if you want to jot her name down.
I'll get a link for it. You're
okay.
Fine. I'll get it. Thank you.
Thank you, Danielle. All right. So next, we are going to do adhesive and foil. So this is a really fun heat transfer vinyl. I always love showing this process. because it just has that wow factor. And there's just so much that you can do with it. I'm actually going to pull another sample real quick. So yesterday we showed how to do CAD cut metallic. And we printed, sorry, this is literally balled up. But we showed how to print this CAD cut metallic yesterday, and this is available in the Stahls marketing kit. So this is one way that you can get this bright shine, but this is just a single color look that you can do. With foil, you are able to do multiple colors at a time. You can still do single color if you want. But this is what the foil looks like. It comes on these small 12-inch rolls, and you can get these for like $12 a roll, depending on the finish, because there are some patterns and some really cool, like speckled iridescent finishes. So I'm just using 2 standard colors, and we're going to create a really fun t-shirt. I'm using a 100% cotton t-shirt from Port & Company, sourced from Sanmar. It has that like ice tie-dye style to it, really trendy right now. And I'm just gonna do a quick preheat of this, and then we'll talk about adhesive and foil and how you can use this with your vinyl cutter. All right, so this is adhesive, okay? Comes on a roll, just like the Ultraweed does. It's going to work the same exact way. You're going to put the glossy side down and the dull side face up, cut in a mirror image, weed the product. Okay, this is the result here. All right, so I just cut this right before the class, and it was that quick. I was able to do it in under like 3 minutes. Okay, so this is what it looks like. You can tell that it's a little translucent. What this is essentially like a double-sided adhesive. It has an adhesive that's going to cure to the t-shirt. And then once heat activated, the adhesive on the top is going to get hot, and it's going to allow foil to stick to it. All right. So that in a nutshell is what CAD cut adhesive is. All right. That's what the product is called. It's just called adhesive. And it is part of our Stahls CAD cut lineup of heat transfer vinyl. So we're just going to apply this like we typically would any other type of heat transfer vinyl. But whenever we apply this, we're going to use a light pressure. So I'm going to cover with a cover sheet. I've already dialed back my pressure, so I can go ahead and lock that down. And this is just going to apply for like 5 seconds. It doesn't take long at all. And it is a hot peel, so I can go ahead and remove that. And whenever I'm removing it, I'm sure to go nice and slow. Okay, wait. Something happened. Let's see. All right, so this piece is sticking up. So we're going to maybe not go as light as I went. All right, let's increase the pressure a little bit more. So 5 to 10 seconds, whatever your preference. I typically do 5, and then it's a hot peel. All right, so I do, like, as I was saying, I do go nice and slow whenever I'm peeling the carrier, because I don't want to manipulate the design in any way. And if I were to just rip the carrier like instantly and really quickly, it would distort the image. All right, so going nice and slow. This is a very thin product, so you do want to kind of be a little cautious with that. Okay, so I'm going to show you a 2-color process with foil. We do have a video that shows you a ton of different things that you can do with foil. And we actually just did an article in Make It Magazine on it as well. Okay, so foil is a really hot topic. People love to see it. People love working with it. You can get very creative with it. So I went ahead and I trimmed 2 sheets. And what we're going to do is a distressing process. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to pick which color that I want to be crunched up. Okay, so I'm just going to use pink. And I'm just going to crunch it up into a ball. And the more that you crunch it, the more distressed that it's going to be. So as I pull this apart, you can actually see the void areas that are created, right? Where you can actually see through them a little bit. So you can even get more distressed if you rub it together, because what it's doing is removing some of the foil that is laminated to this clear carrier that it's on. All right, so lots of distressing in there, created a lot of void areas. So now we're gonna put this right over top of that adhesive. All right, so just gonna make sure that it's covering the design. It doesn't need to be completely flat. And what I'm going to do for this application is do a firm pressure. All right, so anytime that you work with adhesive and foil, and this is notable, make sure the adhesive is applied at a light pressure. It is very, very thin. If you do not use a light pressure, then the fibers of the t-shirt that you are applying to will actually start to poke through and create little pinholes in it. So a best practice for working with adhesive and foil is maybe choosing a synthetic fabric or like a blend, or Bella canvases, ring spun cotton works very, very well. I'm using a standard cotton t-shirt because I'm distressing. I'm not so much worried about it. I'm not trying to get something super flat and smooth, so it's okay for this process, but just keep in mind that if you want it to be more of a finish like the metallic that I showed you, then you'll want to use that type of substrate. All right, so this part's a cold peel, so I'm going to remove that from the platen and just air it out. Right, and as I peel this away, you'll see that the distressing has applied to the adhesive, and the foil only stuck to where the adhesive was. Right, so the design has completely transferred through here, and where that adhesive was, the foil transferred over. And this little nick here is where that A lifted. Super bummed about it, but this is the distressing, okay? This is how you can achieve this. So you can leave it as is, or if you're like me and you worry about people throwing this in the dryer and that adhesive activating, we're going to want to fill in those void areas so that nothing crazy happens to the shirt. So I'm going to load this back in, or back on my platen. And I'm just going to take now a solid piece of foil. We're not going to crunch this one up. We're going to just lay it right over top. Make sure I use a cover sheet. And then keep applying. Okay. Danielle, are there any questions on this so far?
Yep, hold on one second. Scrolling.
Figured there might be, because this one's a little bit different.
Hold on. Oh, are there any HTV that you can layer with the foils to get a glitter effect?
No, at that point, I would just recommend using glitter heat transfer vinyl to get the glitter effect. So it's called Glitter Flake. I actually have some over here. So this is glitter. Right, so you can just use this glitter heat transfer vinyl to get glitter. But if you wanted to, oh, there's another roll in there. If you wanted to pair this with foil, you can, you just cannot layer them. So you would want to create your artwork so that it is a contour or a trapping method, which we teach on the Stahls TV YouTube channel as well. It's all in the artwork. So when you can't layer, that's whenever you can get creative with your artwork to make it look as though it is layered. But this is not a layerable product. Okay, so now that this is cooled completely, I can go ahead and peel that away, and you can see that the orange is now in those void areas. So I'm going to hold that up nice and close so that you guys can see the effect. I just think that this is probably the most unique and original thing that you can offer your customer, because nothing is ever going to turn out the same. It's always going to be different whenever you do a process like this. So just keep this in mind for some unique things to be able to offer your customer. Again, this is the distressing process that you can do, and get creative. There's a ton of foil colors. There's patterns. So I'm going to pull out some of those for you guys to see. So we have like a cheetah pattern. And then we have this I absolutely love. I think this is called champagne something. I don't remember. But it has that iridescent look, but it also has like that little bit of holographic like pattern throughout it too. So get creative. There's a lot of stuff that you can do with adhesive and foil. Absolutely love this product. So try it out, guys. All you need is a roll of adhesive, and the foil is like, they range from like $12 a roll. I think some are upwards of like 24, but still really, really cost effective. Okay. The last application that we're going to do, and I'm really excited to show you guys this one, and then we'll allot more time for questions after. This is our reflective glitter. So I did already show you glitter flakes so that you guys can get a glitter effect, but this is reflective glitter. So whenever you heat apply this and you take a bright light to it, it actually will shine bright silver, even though it has a glitter color to it. So keep this in mind for back to school, decorating kids' backpacks and lunch boxes, their jackets as they're waiting for the school bus, as they're walking into the school. It gets dark in the morning. So really great opportunity for glitter reflective or just color reflective in general. So don't rule out reflectives. There's a lot of opportunity in these products. So another great opportunity for reflectives is athleisure or activewear. So we're going to press a pair of leggings, and I'm going to use a heat press pillow accessory for these applications. So the first thing we're going to do is press the leg. Right, it's probably one of the most common placements for customizing or personalizing leggings. All right, so once again, all of these heat transfer vinyls completely available in a roll so that you guys can cut these out on your vinyl cutter. Dialing back my pressure. Anytime I add an accessory underneath the heating element, it really makes that print area pretty thick. So I dial back that pressure so I'm not like overloading it on the garment. All right, no, that's not the one I wanted to use. Okay. We're going to use this one. We're going to do a hip placement. All right, this is what the backing looks like. That's where the reflective comes through. That's why it's silver. Anyway, we're going to put that on the hip placement right next to that seam. Cover with a cover sheet and heat apply. So another thing to keep in mind in the marketing kit, both for Transfer Express and Stahls, all of these products and their applications are on here. All right, so this is actually a decal sticker. So you can stick this on the table next to your heat press, or you can put it up on the wall. All right, so really cool little tool there. This one's a cold peel. I can already tell by how the studio lights are hitting it, how that will actually shine really, really bright there. So to cool down the adhesive a little bit faster, I'm just going to place it on my cool wall over here to kind of release the heat a little bit faster. In addition to it being reflective and glitter, it also has gloss. Gloss, everyone used to hate gloss, but now I'm starting to see this come back. And you know, it's really cool for branding purposes, in my opinion, or even monogramming, like adding personal brands to accessories and things for your customers. I wish I had or knew where my phone was so that I could snap a picture of this with the flash on. So what I'm going to do, if you guys aren't in the Heat Press for Profit Facebook group, make sure you're in there. I'm going to show you guys just how bright silver this shines. I'm going to take a picture of it with the flash on so that you guys can see the result. And the next application that I'm going to do is the back band of the legging. So of course we want to take advantage of all of our print opportunities, especially when there's just so much to take advantage of on one piece. We're going to do the back band. Now, of course, I'm going to use a pillow for this. I want to make sure that I am not getting any uneven pressure because these seams for the waistband are pretty thick. So I'm going to put this pillow on here. I'm going to actually insert that inside the leggings. Okay, those are good to go. Now, if I were to try to stretch the leggings across the bottom platen, which is a 15 by 15, I would stretch those leggings out, which whenever I took them off after they were heat applied, it would distort the graphic, right? It would want to bounce back because this is a poly spandex blend. So anytime you're working with a super stretchy fabric like that, you want to be sure not to overstretch it whenever you are heat applying it. So keep that in mind. That's why those heat press pillows come in handy for printing different accessories outside of t-shirts and hoodies.
Hey, Jenna.
Yep.
Melissa would like to know what gym leggings you recommend. She's been trying to source some good gym leggings.
Leggings?
Yes.
Oh, yes. These are Sport Tech. I absolutely love these. All right, so Sport Tech brand through Sanmar. So in my opinion, whenever leggings started becoming really popular, we were looking at some pretty crazy leggings wholesale. They weren't very thin. They were pretty thin, you know, and people are moving in these. They're going to the gym in them. They're doing their day-to-day. So you want to make sure you're sourcing leggings that are going to fit well, feel well, and, you know, be thick. All right. Making sure they're getting full coverage. So this brand does the leggings very, very well. I am an owner of like thousands of leggings. And I can say that Sport Tech does a very, very good job of producing a legging that stands up next to some of the bigger brands out there that have leggings as well. I'm talking Gymshark, Alphalete, brands like that are known for creating really nice leggings. Lululemon. All right. So they feel very, very nice. And whenever you stretch them, you can't see through them. Okay. That's very important. All right. So this is the result of the reflective glitter. I wish that my camera could do justice of this product. It's one of those things that you have to see in person. So if you guys haven't worked with this product yet, be sure to get a yard of it. Even if you think that you guys have the market for this product, it is a really cool product, especially for branding and personalization. All right. Any other questions, Danielle?
Now, Lee is asking, will it stretch after heat applying?
The product?
Mm-hmm.
I think so. Let's test it out. Yeah, it has some give to it. Now, this isn't a stretch product, but it's not cracking or peeling. Right, so I can stretch that a decent amount and I have no popping or anything like that. or cracking. Okay. Was that it on questions?
Sorry, yes.
Okay, great. No problem. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for attending. Next up, actually can't remember what's next. I think it's digital screen print transfers. So stay tuned for that. A lot more stuff to come. So make sure that you guys are diving into these classes, answering questions or asking questions, so that you guys can figure out, what products are best going to suit your business. We are showing a ton of stuff, so please do not forget to schedule one-on-one meetings with the presenters, the experts, any of the reps, so that you guys can ask more in-depth questions or even see other demos. Okay, thank you guys so much. I'll see you later.